If I only had a nickel for every song I sung or listened to on the radio as I was sitting there in Lodi waiting for that load of wine, Spodioty, or a bunch of box shoes coming off of a ship over there on the river, or some kind of horse manure like that, go and put it in my truck and I'm going to take it somewhere else and deliver the goods the way these old truck drivers do back there in the day when you could get stuck in Lodi in another way. But I always heard old John Fogerty singing that song. Every time I went by there, let alone through there or got stuck there, it just seemed to be, no matter how it went, Life Juice is going to get me stuck in Lodi every now and again just to keep me humble, so I could, submit my will to the will of the universal John Fogerty, which, of course, I was more than happy to do, because I was like the universal DJ in training. This was part of my upbringing, man, part of my classes in revolutionary musical tunage that makes your heart large, and the medicine for your heart and soul, and, learning how to travel and go with the flow and meet new people every moment, don't you know, because you're the new person in that moment that you glow, each and every one of them, don't you know. Oh, sing us a mom. You're a piano woman, baby. Oh, yeah, and I love you so, baby. Thanks for tuning into this little medicine show we call Spring Creek, the veritable headwaters of life, the reality of love in motion, babies. This is like a wave on the ocean coming to you steadily, gently, but gigantically, too. It's the tsunami of love, man. And, it just kind of, you got your back to it as it catches up to you, you know what I mean? And it feels like there's some hands kind of reaching around your waist and your chest there and kind of lifting you up. And I mean, like your feet are leaving the ground and you're going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And then you realize that your head's barely above water at the crest of a mighty tall wave. And you bend over backwards and relax, man. And just let that flow go ahead of you and pave the way, and let the back toes sweep you along that way, man, so you don't get clobbered and destroyed. Instead of destruction, you find creation flowing through you. You find yourself going with the flow of creation on the backwaters of love, which are the headwaters of life, the same as flows from Spring Creek here in Colorado, babies, yeah. Right through this old man's heart and soul, don't you know, which must be your heart and soul too, I'd say. Ooh, feels like it, doesn't it, today? I thought so, see? Grandpa always thought he, had to be loverly in order to be loving, in order to have enough, as they say. Oh, my God, was that young and childish for a long, long time? But it kept me in play, kept me moving, gave me motivation. I'm not ashamed to say that I've been that way, but, I ain't that way today. I transformed that way, and so now I come this way. Going on the backwaters, just letting life take me along. It's more of a coast now, It's like back in the 80s, I changed my Citizens Band two-way communication device handle from Super Santa Claus and, delivering the goods in too, babies, to rocking chair. Which meant I was rocking and I was in the chair, but see, it also meant I was taking it easy, because rocking chair is the middle position. You got a front door, you got a back door, and you don't got nothing to worry about, because they got your ass and your head covered, man. Shit. Put the hammer down, clown. Let's haul bunkers, Anyway, so that's rocking chair, but the reality, the meaning, which of course, I'm a Koyote, so there's always a deeper meaning, So it was like rock in chair, so I had the rockin' man, the rock and roll man in that there, Bostrom air ride chair, man, which felt like the throne of God at times, man, especially when, difficulties were arising and you knew you had command. Oh, I'm kidding around, baby. Oh, God, that was a scary time with that kind of shit going down. But you stay cool, you get around. I mean, wow. Others perish and you don't. You just shake your head. And you feel kind of guilty sometimes. Oh, my God, you just shake your head and go on. It's all you can do. After you, of course, stop and render assistance, I know that's old school nowadays, and if you try to do that now, they'll probably arrest you and put you in a prison camp, what I mean? What are you, Good Samaritan? Get the hell out of here, man. Oh, it's an evil world out there. No, it ain't. And we ain't gonna let it be, are we, babies? Hell No, this is liberation. We're here to set each other free, man. We don't gotta live like that sad sack pieces of shit that are afraid of everybody and everything and gotta bust each other's heads and stuff like that. Especially those that have been so cowardly as to assault women and children with pepper sprays and, rubber bullets and shit like that. Go, oh, you big, brave old police, man. You are the Gestapo, ain't you, baby? Oh, look at these big boys with little toys, man. Ain't one of you ever getting laid again long as you live, man. You've been so stupid, you can't do that to women and kids, not expect it not to backfire on you, man. You just can grow to hate yourself and want to off yourself. And that's not a good place to be. We don't want you there. We love you too much to let that happen to you, okay? So, baby, just listen to Grandpa. Feel the flow of the heart. Do it another way, man. Guys, when you're out and about, share it with them today. Secretly, of course, man. You don't want them to, they see you coming, they'll bust you before, you know what I mean? But then you just take that flow with you, They tried that shit with me long ago, and a friend of mine, too. Oh my God. The CIA grabbed him. Now, this is a guy that was quite a revolutionary little dude back in the day. I'm talking about, 70s then. It began in the 60s, of course, but 70s then, and the CIA or somebody like that, some super secret little federale kind of organization grabbed his ass, and tried to supersede his basic programming. I won't go on to describe the program any further because it might reveal identities, and that's nobody's frickin' business. You know what I mean? That was then. This is now. So anyhow, he outlived it. They had to let him go, man. They couldn't. I mean, it was like, wow. This dude had such resolve, and he was just a human being like the rest of us. He wasn't really thinking or trying that. It just happened that way, because the Spirit was with him. When you're living in a more truthful space, no matter how troubled the times or how bad your own energy might be because you've been over-responsive or whatever, you know what I mean? It's still, there's a part of you that's moving in a good way if you're not going along with that bullshit. You know what I mean? And that's how you know. And of course, that can make you real self-righteous, and then you really get in trouble. But, you learn those lessons as you go along, don't you? And, pretty soon you learn what the flow is, and you don't want trouble, and you don't make trouble anymore. But you are trouble. When you turn your eyes in a certain direction, man, people know that the gig is up, and they better get out of the way, man. You know what I mean? And it's not that you're such a threatening hombre or hombress, as the case may be. I love it, man. Messing with lingo is fun, ain't it? But, you're the good ass. The biggest heart in the whole dang universe. Sees through everything. All people know when they see you is purity and flow, man. They're like, oh my God, oh. They can't kid themselves no more. Can't Billy the Kid themselves no more, or James Dillinger, or even James Dean, whoever, whatever. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Whatever role you've been playing, that role is over with. That's when the gig is up, and the end becomes the beginning again, which is the journey is never over. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Wherever we are on it, that's where we just begin. It's a long story too, but it just keeps going on, man. It's like shit, Can we rise out of this drama now and have a little more dramatical conclusions and begin? No, you don't get no conclusions, dumbass. No shit. What's wrong with you? Conclusions? You want to go down? No. You want to hang around. You want to glow. You want to flow. You want to expand, don't you know? You see a tree trying to, they might fall over after 150 years or something, some of them, because that's as long as they're meant to be. But guess what? You get some divine energy to that tree, and it's there forever, and, it's forever growing, so there comes a time when the tree is as big as a planet. And it don't stop, It's like the redwoods. Now, they don't grow fast, man, so they can be there 5,000 years and be like 100 feet across at the bottom end and be so tall they make their own weather out of the breezes coming off of the ocean. God, it's pretty impressive, man. Now, that's some living monuments to the reality of life goes on forever. Those things have been through most all the history that people have talked about here, know about, which, is a drop in the bucket to our real history, but like 5,000-6,000 years. It's a long time to be hanging out here on the earth in one place like that. You see a lot of comings and goings, man, a lot. And you feel it in the weather, and you sense it in the earth too, besides what you see directly before you and all around you too, man. It's like you live in communal life with all the life around you. You feel and see everything. You're a redwood, man, or at least that's what the people down there in them little pipsqueaks call you. And the little teddy bears that fly in those flying chairs amongst your branches. Oh, that was Star Wars. I'm getting mixed up again. Sure. The Ewoks, man, remember that? That was awesome footage. They actually shot the footage down into redwoods, and then they cartooned in the rest of it, But wow, how cool is that? Or special effects they call it now, but it's still cartooning. Wow, this realistic cartooning these days. Wow. And I'm not even talking about the graphics in those computer games. Well, it's not much of a stretch then to see that life is like that, isn't it? It's a self-creating movie, really. It's not really a computer game because, it's not a win, lose, or draw. There's a flow, and there you go. And you get this level until you get it, and you get that level until you get it, and you get that level, and, you just expand forever, don't you know? See, so we've reached that stage now, that the game and the player are one and the same. See, so the game and the player become as they see themselves to be, one and the same. Changes the whole nature of the game, because then it's inside as well as outside, and there's no conflict in the flow. See, a whole new direction, don't you know? It's an infection we call Spring Creek, the headwaters of life, the reality of true love in motion. Here on the Hazy Radio Network, which is ever clear at hazyradio.com. An energy drink for your soul, and a whole lot more. Rocks monsters, get out of the way. We got some real rock and roll coming your way in that Koyote way, because this Spring Creek's in the high mountains of a desert, man, and it flows down into a desert valley and turns it into like paradise. Because finally the flow can get through where others wouldn't let it. Not so long ago. But see, the flow just backs up then, don't you know? And sooner or later, it overwhelms you. You ever seen a big dam blow? Yeah, I remember one time I was checking into this hotel room there in Chicago when somebody had left a TV on in that room. And there was a picture on the TV. It's a news program, obviously, of a big dam in Colorado that I kind of immediately recognized up there in the Tetons, And that sucker had broke in too, and there was a wall of water coming down on the people. And I thought, oh my God, all my Idaho people are dead. Because shit, that's a lot of water all at once, when them big dams break, Well, shit, they were blessed. I know somehow, it did a lot of damage. I know it took some people down, but not too many. And mostly, it just spread out across this big, huge, broad valley. A great big old wave, but it's only like about 3 foot tall, man. So, the damage was minimized, What a blessing. But that was quite the shock to see that on a television, You thought, oh my God, it's World War III. Somebody dropped a bomb on that dam. And you turn the sound up and you find out it's this thing broke. Too much corruption in the construction industry on that one, eh? Just about killed off a whole southeastern Idaho civilization, which wasn't all that civil, but at least it was there, and they're really cool people. I like it. I've hung out down there when it was 20 below and shit like that. These people don't even know they're so froze all year long. Oh, yeah, okay. Life at 20 below and 3 feet of snow, that's normal up there. That's the way it flows. At least it used to be. Now I know it's gotten a lot mellower, just like everywhere else too, man. What used to be winter now is like, thawed out a bit, Just like it has here. We don't get 40 and 50 below anymore. We hit 20 below some, but, not near what it used to be here. It's a lot milder than it used to be, man. Everywhere around the West it's like that. Probably around the world too, but I just haven't been out there to see, so I don't know. But people talk about it every now and then, and generally speaking, I see a warming trend all around the earth too. And I think that's coming from inside of me and you, because we're warming up and thawing out the frozen parts of our heart, man, so, we can get the whole thing on through, okay? See, that's what we do here day after day, just thaw you out. One way or another, we wear you down with bullshit, or we rock you up with rock and roll medicine for your heart and soul, and it melts down that wall, don't you know? And wall after wall, we've been peeling the layers out from around your heart, ain't we, man? Day after day. Monday through Friday, I might add, 8 to 11 a.m., babies, here, Mountain Time. Well, you figure it out from there. It's 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and then that'd be 7 a.m. in the Pacific over there, you know. And UTC, let's see, you got to add 5 on 8, and that's 1 o'clock in the afternoon there. Is that right? Let's see, 8 o'clock plus 7 is how I usually figure it. So 8 and 4 is 12, and 3 is, so it's 3 over there at UTC, over there Great Britain, okay, that Brexit place now, man, you know. Fix it, let's Brexit, okay? We're getting out of that shit, man. We're not going that way. We don't want to be a bunch of Slavic Nazis, don't you know? Oh, baby. Let it go. All of it. You know, stay out of that flow, man, you know. Give them love and let them know they ain't getting away with it no more. But live your life creatively, man. Right there in your own little sphere of influence, man. And it'll spread out and take care of the rest of it pretty much all by itself. Now, that doesn't mean we ain't going to group together and have some whoop-de-doo great times, you know, letting them know that they're no longer in the flow. But here you go. We're bringing you back in, man. Yeah, he says with a grin. And see, that's what we're doing here now, baby, see. It's like we've done resistance. We know how to fight non-violently. We do. We got that one down, man. And we can do that. But what do we really want to do? We want to stop the carnage, man. Not encourage it. You know, we want our peaceful assemblages to be assemblages of a loving peace that's powerful and expansive, that the police and the soldiers and the government can't touch. The bombs won't come near us. We're so strong in that love, see? So that's why we start here at the headwaters of life, Spring Creek, man, with Grandpa, Koyote, and friends. Obi-Wan Kenobi, too. Thanks for tuning in, baby. This is why we start right here. You know, right at the original point. Because then we get it right, man. See? The beginning. From the beginning. You know, this is where the water flows. The first waters of life. Inside of me, inside of you, and a whole bunch of angels, too, that surround us everywhere. Gosh, are you ready to rock? I mean, are you really ready to let this happen? To get the hell out of the way and stop with all that doubting bullshit. I mean, it's one thing to make it prove itself. It's another to say, no, you can't, you know. See, we've been programmed and conditioned to be real resistant to reality and truths, you know. In fact, a lot of people are so far gone that all they can love is a lie. But at least they're loving it, so therefore it dissolves the lie away. Because love is truth, and that's the way, see. And the more you love, the more you become that love. Even if it's just loving to hate in that way, see. Sick as that might be, it's setting them free. And especially inside of you and me. So, you know, instead of looking outward and judging this and that and the other, let it go inside first foremost. Let it be. Let yourself flow with it, don't you know? Don't be stuck in Lodi no more. See, I haven't been there in years now, man. Shit, that's 30 years since I've been stuck in Lodi, you know? When you let yourself become a little more what you really are, life takes you in whole new directions, and you don't repeat those old patterns anymore. You don't fall on your face every time you turn around and have to recover. What a pain in the ass, man. But what a great way to grow, hey? That's an accelerated course, don't you know? It's like, well, yeah, the Wile E. Coyote cartoon a bit, man, because you do the same thing over and over again. Get that shit kicked out of you every time, but finally, you know, after you popped up out of the squished down ground for the 30 millionth time, finally, you start to catch on, and there might be something wrong with all this Acme shit. And even the idea that you got to chase a roadrunner, as much fun as that is. And you know, if you ever caught up with them and tried to eat them, you'd be so damn sentimental. The whole reality of chase would come back to you, and you couldn't touch them. You wouldn't even be able to put them in the stew pot, man. Let alone anything else, man. So, you know, you'd wind up buddies anyway, and you'd start repeating the chase again, only now at a higher level. It'd be more like children in the playground, and nobody's getting hurt any more than they ever did before. In fact, a whole lot less, because you ain't dropping rocks on yourself anymore. You finally realize that ain't so much fun. See, after a while, humanity going through our coyote medicine. Now, that was a personal version of it, but in a way, it's very reflective of humanity's history. You know, see? Now you're starting to see and understand the original sound, the original way of the coyote medicine that flowed into us, oh, so long ago. The medicine of creation, don't you know? It's right in the heart and soul of everything. Even the eagle that flies and perceives the creation, and the dove that keeps it peaceful up there, man, and down here too. They're all right there flying with you too, man. Nobody's above another. We all got a gazillion angels. We all got everything we need, babies, you know. We just slow down a little bit and let it catch up to us. See, everybody tells you got to accelerate. The faster you go, the better it is. I had that idea from the time I was a kid. I loved going fast. Not so much anymore, you know. Now I'm steady Eddie, but I loved going fast, you know, because I didn't realize any danger. And if there was danger, I ignored it, you know. It's not going to touch me. It might have got somebody else, but it ain't going to get me. Ooh, it comes close sometimes, don't it? Yeah. But see, that's kind of reflective of conditioning we get here. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. You know, life's only so long. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. You know, and it gets everybody tense. It makes the world crazy. It causes a lot of accidents and injuries because people are in too big a hurry, and they make mistakes when they're hurrying around like that. You know, just slow down, take it an element at a time. You can do 3 elements at a time if you're just rocking it and rolling it instead of like trying to go, 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 go. You know, shit, I learned the hard way, baby. Yeah, it would have seen me when I was like 18, 19, 20 years old, man, when I was doing that executive shit and all that, you know. I was like, I mean, I was fast-paced, man. Everywhere I went, I was walking, you know, like some people run, man. I had a real fast pace, and I was on the go. Oh, from the moment I got up around noon until I went to sleep about 3 in the morning the next morning, you know. Oh, geez, man. And sometimes even later, you know, a lot of times you only get 2-3 hours sleep. Because, well, you know, there's these all-night parties and stuff. And, wow. You know, in a way, though, it's kind of nice to be, wow. See, now I know better. See, I know how it is to live fast. I did it in my own innocent sort of ways. I wasn't, like, conditioned to be a pigeonhole person, so I could only do that shit so long. As creative as I tried to make it, I could only do so much there. And then I had a lot of learning and growing to do, too, man. You know, really, ooh, I didn't need to be, you know, I mean, a lot of times I'd get into things, I'd accelerate greatly in a business of one sort or another, and then I just, wham, something would stop me dead in my tracks, you know. And I always thought that was this loser thing, this dark cloud hanging over my head, you know. But no, babies, it was like a way of preserving myself and for the safety and sanity of others, not unleashing energies here that were too much to take in those days. See, and I told you about how contaminated I was as a tiny child, and the conditioning and training I got in a real cool way. Cruel way, I say, not cool. Boy, I wasn't cool at all. But my attitude toward it is today, I mean, you know, I let it all go away. I don't hold that. You know, I don't hang on to it. I let it go. But it was pretty difficult back in its day. I had to find a whole new way with myself and others too. But I always had this energy inside of me that I knew that if I got to a certain level in this life, in this 3D world, that I could not let that thing take me there. I could not go there because it would turn itself loose then and I'd be out of control. Like I was when I was a little kid and used to really behave compulsively before I learned how to manage this shit a bit. You know what I mean? It was wild energies this little kid was dealing with, let me tell you. It was like a juggling act to the extreme and then some. And I felt so disempowered back then. Yet I lived in such a magic way. But I had to trick myself into that loser attitude. So I'd keep that damn thing down. But I still was a go-getter. It's the oddest thing, man, you know. Always living in that dichotometric way. It's another element of the coyote way, the coyote medicine. dichotometric. In other words, you're living this way and you're living this way, but doing it at the same time in a multi-level, multi-dimensional sort of way. A lot of time not even knowing it, just going with the flow of it, Makes for an interesting life. To where when you're ready to go trucking again and get out there on the road and sit down and drive 700, 800, 900, 1,000 miles a day and just, get the life underway. Plus all the hassle you get along the way, picking up and dropping off and all the officialdom in between and stuff. It can be a real ding-dong deal, man, and a lot of stress, it seems like relief compared to where you've been, you know what I mean? Because you're not under such... The only pressure you got to get that load there on time somehow, And yeah, you got to deal with a lot of obnoxious cops and shit, but big deal, man. There's lots of real groovy people out there, too. They help you keep going, don't they? When you got the time to stop and gab a little bit, don't always even have that. Sometimes, some of these companies these days, they want you steady 24/7. Never get out of the flow, man. Just go, go, go. That's an early death, man. It really is. And, you check yourself out. Because when you're doing that, you get so far gone that you're going to create accidents out there. And you're going to hurt people, yourself included, more than likely. And you're going to be so dumb and lame that you're going to keep on going even when you do. That's what happens to some people. That's why you don't do that shit. You look ahead. You look at what's going on around you, pay attention to that world. It tells you what way not to go, doesn't it, see? So I knew how to sit down and drive 1,000 miles. I could do that. I love doing it, too. But I didn't want to do it all the time, And I knew that if I did that all the time, especially with the eating habits to go and drinking habits to go along with it, and the partying habits, too, well, shit. You'd burn out before you hit 30. I thought I did. And I did in a way. But you come back, you start to slow down. You start to realize that, what are you trying to outrun, And then you start to pay attention. But it sure did take me a long time to figure out why I couldn't let myself go in these, especially the business economic directions. I had some real opportunities at the multi-million-dollar deals come my way. Really could have brought this old man out to play, It just never went my way, It was funnier than hell that it never did. But I understand now, And I also, I knew I had to keep that energy contained. I knew I did, at some subconscious level, yeah, I knew it. But it snuck into my conscious presence, too. I knew it. So I did the most loving thing I could. I did the best I could. And when it got rough, I could always go back to trucking. That was the nature of the times, And I could bullshit myself into any kind of a job. And I was good at trucking, so that was always my fallback, Boy, as I got older, it wasn't so good. I quit for like 12, 13 years, and when I went back, mid-2000s, my goodness, it had changed so greatly, The equipment was a whole lot nicer, but more automated and a pain in the ass because of that. But, so it's a little easier to drive, but the regulation had gone out of control. You really had to rock in order to roll. In other words, you couldn't let a ticket come on you, man. And if you did, you fought it right to the last nth of a degree. You didn't just pay and go, you know what I mean? Not anymore, because it all came back on you, And so it really became... And then the pay had gone to hell. I was making $1,000 a week back in, the 70s, man. You couldn't even hardly make that in the mid-2000s anymore, It was like, shit. What happened to that? By the standards of, inflation, we should have been getting between $3,000 and $5,000 a week there in the mid-2000s, But that wasn't about to happen, I'm telling you. Things had died down economically. Somebody was sucking all the money away from the people. I wonder who that might have been. I don't know, but there just wasn't that much money to go around anymore. So we had to learn to live on love, don't you know? See, there's always a little silver lining around every cloud. There's always a reason why things go the way they go. In the economic downturn, you get people not to be so reliant and dependent on this god of money, because it's a false god, and you got to see through it, man, So you can get away from it, get on with it. See, most people, yeah, you sold yourself out a long time ago for the sake of money. Not everybody, thank goodness, but a good share of us do, you know. It's a real defect in humanity, but it's what makes us controllable, too. And all of us, you know, have sold out to the debt side of the damn thing one way or another. Even the rich folk I know got lots of debt because it gives them write-offs and shit. I mean, there's just all kinds of crazy shit, but more excuses for doing this, that, and the other than there is for the other of this and that, is there? I say, go take it slow. You'll start going with the flow, and you'll accelerate, don't you know? But you won't feel it like that. It'll just be a flow, man. Just like a lazy old river, you know, just rolling along, man, and having and singing a song and bringing it back to life. Everywhere it goes, relieving the strife of life along the way, man. See, if we can do that, well, we've already brought peace on earth. It's only a matter of time, babies, you know, because it spreads. So hold that energy, man. Hold that heart that you feel. Don't let nobody take that. It's a gift we share here day after day, but it's in you. It's just something we help awaken, bring back to life, man. Well, it's in all of us, you know. It is, man. It's that little boy, little girl happiness at just being alive and of just learning what life really is and, you know, not getting clobbered by it like we did before. This time just going with a nice, loving, childlike flow, man, because we became our own parent, don't you know, see? We learn how, man, through all the misfortune. We learn how to inherit the fortune and go with the flow and be the glow of life forevermore. That's what you get here at the headwaters of life, man, day after day, as Grandpa and Mary J help you along the way. He's the universal DJ. Now you know why. I'm a little yogi dog too, but I tell you what, I couldn't do without the likes of you being here too, man. It just, you know, it all flows through me, but it comes from your sweetheart as well as my own and the angels around us too, man, you know. But we're all a unified family, a vibe tribe as I call it, and it doesn't work without we're in it together. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? So you may, you know, like me, have had a real personal and individual path for a long time. You got some expansion to go. You got some room to grow, you know, because it's not just you, don't you know? Not anymore. And it never really was, but, you know, don't worry about it. Don't dwell on it. Just let it flow. But get yourself out a little more, okay? That's it, man. Because otherwise you start to die, you know, because you're telling the universe, I don't want him. And he'll start taking you out. See, I know, because I'm going to let it happen to me. Again. But sometimes that's where you get the motivation from, too, man. Sometimes coming back to life is like, wow, worth everything you have to go through to get there, even if it's a near death. And a restart, you know, again and again. But see, you know, how else you going to learn and grow? You know, if you don't let yourself go with the flow, whatever it is you need to be in. Because, you know, there's a reason why you're going through it, and it ain't just you. It's for everybody else too, you know. You're taking that aspect of divine experience and working it out for the whole of humanity and beyond that, the whole of creation, man. Because we're all learning and growing together because we are the same elemental life. Haven't been stuck in low dive for a long time. Haven't sung ourselves out of that place finally. We know that we can appreciate that as a rooted down experience, and here we go, expanding from there forevermore. Doesn't mean you ever got to go back there again, now does it? Just means you appreciate where you've been, and that gets you going where you are already. The journey's never over. The journey never ends. Wherever we are on it, that's where it just begins. Spring Creek, the headwaters of life. With Grandpa Coyote and friends, only and exclusively on the Hazy Radio Network. The news you can use, the views of your heart. Coming to life, baby.